books. What did you learn about your team that you did not know going in?
Great question. This was different because it was a different team from the spring. Right, so there was a lot of unknowns. But what I like coming out is that we got functional depth on the D line. Didn't know initially how the transfers were going to mesh with the guys that were already on the roster, but that's been a very, very smooth transition and made the competition in that position even better. I learned that the guys got to learn how to take care of their body a little bit better. You know, I was anticipating that they would be, a little bit more in tune with the recovery aspect of practice. I think, of the process. Practice was structured different maybe than what they were used to. So I got to do a better job of helping create that mindset and just a culture that embraces nutrition fully and embraces the process of recovery.
How healthy is the team before we talk about recovery as being this week?
I think we'll get most of the guys that are banged up short-term back by the time we kick off for Richmond, but we do have a couple of long-term guys. It sucks for Foston to lose him with an ACL. He's already had surgery. Saw him earlier today. He's doing well. I'm hoping to get positive news on Hugh. He had an appointment today, so hopefully we get him back. But the long-term guys, I don't anticipate anybody being ahead of schedule other than Ronnie. I think Malachi, we still got a plan that he may not get back till late if he gets back at all with his foot. Offensive line-wise, I think we're in decent shape by the time we get to the game. Cohen, I just see Cohen walk in. We'll get him back at some point. So I anticipate that we'll have most of our guys, barring any situations that come up between now and in Richmond.
So Jonathan Leach is not going to be.
So Leach doesn't look like it's going to be long term. I'm hoping that it's a couple weeks. He may be ready game week or towards the end of game week for Richmond. He may not be able to play, but we anticipate that we'll get him back pretty soon. We thought that was going to be a long-term situation, but after they did all the tests and the MRIs and the scans, they felt like the best thing to do was put a pin in it, and hopefully it'll be a couple weeks, but I don't think it's going to linger all season.
Could you update us on where you are with the kicking battles and big picture? Are you a coach who? Do you mind having a guy who does all three? That seems like a big workload. If the same guy wins all three, are you okay with it?
If the same guy wins all three, I'm definitely okay with it. I don't have an issue with that, but I also understand that's a workload. I'd prefer guys to take a little bit of work off of each other, and then if that one guy goes down, then you're in trouble. So I think we're in a good spot, kind of heading into this last week. I think there's finally been a little bit of separation at both of the spots. Not ready to make an announcement yet, but I think there's been a little bit of separation, which I was hoping was going to happen before we got into actual game week. What I've told the coaches is I'm not afraid. I would rather rest guys on offense and defense than to rest guys on special teams, just to create that mindset. Now, I would like for our depth, some of our young depth, to be able to work themselves into the rotation so that you have some depth, because long term, over the course of the season, those reps add up. So if you got a starter that's playing on core special teams as well, he could be having an additional 25 to 30 snaps.
Tony, Coach Rudd has stressed, at least to the guys, that the idea of red zone defense, particularly don't let anyone run the ball in on you. Is that a mindset you share, and
oh, yeah.
Kind of what's the genesis of that?
Well, it's just running the football. I think anybody who's close to the game knows how demoralizing being able to run the ball at will is. And then when you run the ball in from that close, it's a mindset, especially you got a shortened field. They got extra hats on defense. If you can run the ball in, it just sends a message. So that's partly him and me as well. That's the background I came from. I always wanted to run the ball in as much as I could, and it's the same thing here. I don't want guys to run the ball in. If they're going to score, they're going to have to throw it to beat us, which gives us a better chance with the shortened field in the pass game. So it's both of us really stressing that to the guys. And then red zone, that's where you win the game. Our seventh component of our plan to win is to win third down, win the red zone. And for us, you want to be roughly 67% or better scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Turnovers are critical. A turnover in the red zone is almost like equivalent of two, because you lose points. If you're in the red zone, you would say that you should be high percentage of hitting the field goal. So you at least got points. You turn the ball over, you lose points, and you lose the ball. So that's why today we started right out the gate, right after special teams. I put the ball on the 7-yard line, said it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and goal on the 7. Both of you got to be ready. And we've done a lot of red zone work pretty much the last week and a half, a portion of our pass scale has been in the red zone.
Certainly when you get down to the 1-2, you have personnel groupings. When you're in the red zone, 20 and in, you're going to have your DBs on the field. Does this group, are they a physical bunch of defensive backs? Do you like the physical options you have in the secondary?
I like with Jonas coming back. He gives us some flexibility. He's a physical guy. I like Bratton at the nickel Sam. He's a bigger body. He's willing to tackle. They play a lot more catch man, so it's a little bit tougher for the corners to be quite as physical. But everything is structured for the safeties, to run the alleys and make the plays. So I feel good about where we're starting. Still want to see Chase Chalmers, take another step to give us some added depth. Donovan is another guy. We need some versatility out of him. So definitely room to grow, but I like the where we're starting with Bratton at nickel Sam, and then having Clary's been out, but then having the ability to have Clary, Donovan, and then Jonas as he continues to progress. I think we got what we need just to start with, but depth is a concern.
Looking at the stats from last year, I think it's listed that Taulapapa was leading rusher. Obviously, that Brennan's sacks kept his numbers down, but 340-some yards for Taulapapa. What do you feel about the rushing game? What would you like the rushing game to amount to over the season?
Right, I don't know if I have a particular number in my mind. It's just more.
392 is not very high for your leading rusher.
No, not at all. And the biggest thing is being effective and efficient and being balanced, meaning that if it's 3rd and 3, we don't have to be 100% throwing the football. We can run the ball and be effective. We can be plus 4 yards on first down. I don't know if we have a back right now that's a big home run hitter like a Travis Etienne. Travis was an eraser. That's kind of unfair to compare those guys to him, but I think we got some guys that can definitely hit some big runs, and that's what you've seen so far, and I hope that it carries over and translates into the season. Is we haven't had the big home run runs like Paris had in the spring game, but there's been a good amount of 15, 20, 25-yard runs, which allows us to be balanced, stay aggressive, and then now the defense has to honor the play-action pass. So when you turn around and you're showing stretch action, they got to run to the stretch because they know that you can hand it off and you can get at least 4 yards.
From what you've seen, it needs to.
Yeah, it needs to improve, but I'm pleased considering, 2J is probably the guy that gets the toughest rap because all the guys left, but he hasn't had a consistent group of 5 guys for 2 practices in a row. In the last couple of scrimmages, we've been able to run the ball, which is something I'm challenging the defense. Now, Smiley was out, Devontae was out. They didn't have some of their top guys in. But I'm starting to see the mentality showing up on the offensive line. And the biggest thing is they're covering guys up and they're not turning guys loose, which gives the backseat a chance to square their pads up, run behind their pads, and push the power for 4.
As a first-year coach, where did you kind of set the expectations for by the time you reached the end of fall camp, and how close have you met those?
Great question. Hard to say where I set them as a coach because I really my vision's a little bit skewed at times considering what I've seen for the last 7 or 8 years. So in fairness to the guys, the biggest thing is I just wanted to see the core values continue to be displayed on a daily basis, chasing the ball, getting on and off the field, the little things, see some competitive days where it's not lopsided. There's probably been more lopsided days. One group had a better day than the other, then it's been just truly competitive, and some of that is attributed to the guys being down throughout the course of practice. But I like where the mindset of the guys are. I like the attentiveness they've had in the meetings, the embracing of the different approach to building team that we've brought in as a staff. So I feel good about where we are as a team. Now physically we got 2 weeks to get ourselves ready to play. I don't think we're ready to play today, and I got to do a good job making sure that I help these guys embrace the outside of practice things that they need to do to be ready to play fast on September 3rd.
Coach, is there any how disruptive is against Smiley when he's healthy, and his athleticism moving inside, is that a big advantage for him over the guard?
That and he's put on some weight too. He's about 280 pounds, and he's still the quickest we got on that side of the ball. And so it gives us some great versatility that you can stay in your 4-man front and kick him down inside, 3-man front. He could go and play a 4 technique, and Then if you need to go into a rapid situation, you can put him inside or outside. And so he's been the most disruptive guy. Another guy that's been disruptive that probably hasn't gotten as much attention in his name called as much as Camper. When Camper's in there, he's a hard-working guy. He's disruptive. Cam Butler's been disruptive. So at times, the guy that was disruptive early on that I've been challenging is Carter Jameer. I think that he's got to really come on and be more disruptive, and it could be just commanding double teams. If he can command and own those double teams and force teams to have to double him, then it's going to allow the one-on-ones for the Smileys, where Smiley can take over with his athleticism. But he was down for a couple days with his ankle, but he was back today, and he looked fast.
Coach, of all the players that you foresee being in the mix to start, which players have been the biggest revelation to you as making strides of improvement from spring to summer?
The first one that would jump off for me is Ty Furnish. He's a guy. Center was a big question mark for us, and I think expectations-wise, we thought it would be Justice, a bigger body, but Ty's really taken over there and given us confidence that even though he might be a little bit undersized, he's going to scrap, he's going to fight, he's smart, he can set the table, make all the calls. Parrish is another one that's really exceeded some of my expectations. I knew that he was a guy that had a good feel for the outside zone. The questions I had is just how tough is he going to be? Is he going to put his foot in the ground and stick it up in there? And he's shown that so far. Defensively, Ahern's a guy that's really stepped up. He was a guy that was banged up a little bit in the spring. Didn't get to see as much out of him as I wanted to, but he's been a pleasant surprise. Aaron and Jameer, I knew they were going to be steady. Ben just continues to improve. I talk about him a lot. Those are the guys right now that jump out as guys that have improved.
We're going to wrap it up.